Hi, everybody. I am Jackie Cox, and I am the founder and creator of ACE Community, which is Adventure, Creativity, and Enjoyment. And I am super excited to be here with Colleen Kern. Her business is Write, Edit, etc. And she's an amazing editor and super creative person. Because adventure, creativity, and enjoyment is part of our whole mantra, I thought it'd be super fun to chat with Colleen today. I'm going to introduce her shortly. Before I do, though, I want to make sure everybody has a good understanding of what the mission of ACE Community is, as well as the value that I have in place for creativity. So our vision for ACE Community is we spark a passion in people to embrace life to the fullest. We believe that we all crave more fun in our lives, and with a community of positive, encouraging people, we can achieve more. And so then the value that we have in place for creativity is helping others ignite new ideas and discovering their own creativity. And so with that value, I thought it was so fun to have Colleen come on board. So I'm going to introduce Colleen, and we're going to have a great conversation. So Colleen Kern is a passionate wordsmith dedicated to empowering heart-centered subject matter experts, entrepreneurs, and inspirational authors by helping them turn their constantly rewritten work into published bestsellers. With a knack for transforming written works, she helps her clients feel confident in their message before hitting publish, because that's scary sometimes. Alongside her love of editing, Colleen thrives on exploring new hobbies and knowledge, ultimately turning her diverse interests into valuable resources for those seeking guidance and support. So welcome, Colleen.
Well, I'm so happy to be here. And
Yay! So excited. I love how your creative spirit just pours out of you. I was instantly drawn to you. You inspire me. You inspire so many others. And I just think that you are just a beautiful creative soul and beyond. I mean, obviously with the bright pink hair, your beautiful style, it's just awesome. You can see creativity flowing out of you, and it comes through in so many ways, along with ideas. And I imagine your clients just love that you help them get out of their own way and help them with some of those creative ideas. So I'd love to hear about how you got started with your business and where you went down this path.
oh gosh, so where it all started. I kind of fell into it. It was an accident. So as the world shut down in 2020, I had just started playing with writing. The accounting firm I was working for was looking for blog writers. So that's where I got my start. I was writing blogs in-house for that firm. And then when everything shut down, another accountant brought me in-house to write for them. And so I got my start kind of demystifying the accounting complexity
Yeah.
down into everyday language so people could actually understand it. And I got my start there. And then as I kind of launched my own business and started getting my own clients and working more with clients, I started getting people asking me for like, well, I wrote it, but I just need someone to critique it, or I just need
Oh,
some editing. So I was like, why push the river? I'm going to go where people want me to be. And I really found that I love editing. Editing
good.
is what I love because I don't have to start with that white page. There's no scary white page for me. Um,
Nice.
and I get to dive into the words and create clarity for people where
I
they're
love
like, I'm just too close to it. Or people have a favorite word that gets, you know, a little repeated,
overused.
overused. Mine's amazing, and I have to be careful about it. So be like, oh, and then it's every other word. I have to be like, oh, let's add some variety there.
Yeah. So you recently told me that you shared with me that you were brainstorming with another beautiful soul in our community, and you referred to the blank page for you like a new box of crayons. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Um, yeah, so I was working on my LinkedIn about section, and the beautiful soul is Kate Payne. I'm
Kate
just
Payne, yeah.
She is an expert. And we were interviewing and talking about my backstory and how I got into things. And we stumbled about when I was little, every time I was sick, I would get a new box of crayons. And it was like
Oh,
best thing. It was like my comfort thing. It wasn't, I couldn't have comfort food. So I had like comfort crayons. And
so
we
awesome.
were talking about how much I loved it because when I was coloring, I could go as detailed as I want or as simplistic as I wanted. And she was like, have you ever like connected that to like what you do now? And I was like, oh my God. And she just blew my mind
I
completely.
love it.
It's just like with editing, you can get as like simple, I just need to correct a couple words, or go really deep and be like, let's restructure and move things around and make sure it really flows and is coherent. And I was just like, oh my God, she's brilliant. Just
That, that's awesome. Well, and I definitely know people are saying that about you as you're helping them with their books and things like that too, because so often, I mean, I know there's a big fear of putting yourself out there, first of all, and then putting it in a book, because now thousands and millions of people can read it. And so
yeah.
how do you help people overcome that bit of fear that comes up and help them relax into their creativity a little bit by showing them the way and how that can really bring them forward?
Great question. So I think a lot of it is having someone else review your work is still scary. But it's also like, oh my God, they gave me the feedback. And now this person who's supposed to be an expert, I am an expert. I'm gonna
You are an expert.
embrace the expertise.
You are.
That they're like, this is great. I think it's ready. So going through the process of editing and giving them feedback and working through the manuscript or whatever it is that they have created really helps people get an idea of, oh, I did this. This is my work.
Yeah.
And as we finish it up and it's the final product, I'm like, you're ready. It's kind of like getting that like approval from someone that goes, oh,
Yeah.
someone thinks I'm an author. That's
Right.
amazing. And helps them get that kind of push to the finish line. Because a lot of first time authors, they come in and they're just like, okay, I wrote it. Now
Sure.
what? Well, I don't even know if I need an editor, how I publish, like what is the process? So I think just answering the questions around the process too
Sure.
creates a little bit more confidence of like, okay, at least now I know what questions to ask and where to go,
Yeah.
and demystifies it. And also just telling people, yes, it's out there for millions, but nothing is ever written in concrete. So people
True.
revise, they update. A lot of people use Kindle, so those revisions are going to go to
Sure.
the book if they have it on Kindle. And revisions are common. So
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
that's awesome. That's awesome. And so when you think about, that you talked about using repetitive words and things like that, that tends to put them in a little bit of a rut, if you will, that repetitiveness, because they're not thinking outside the box with that language and things like that. How do you feel like you incorporate your knowledge and expertise into some of that to help them overcome some of that repetitiveness?
a lot of what I do is suggestions.
Okay.
So I think people, maybe some of the fear around an editor is they're going to come in and tell me exactly what it needs to do. And this is red pen and nope, you have to cut that and change this word to what I say. Everything I do is a suggestion. So
Okay.
the final stuff that goes into your book is that's you. That's all you.
Yeah.
Thing I'm doing is a suggestion, except for, commas and such. But
Grammar.
grammar is, there's rules. But for words, it's a suggestion. So if I say, okay, we're repetitive, we've used this word many, many times,
Yeah.
it's going to be in my feedback. And I'm going to say, hey, I suggested this word. How does that feel? Like if we've changed it or if I've rewritten a paragraph, I'm going to say why I rewrote. If
Sure.
I do that big of an edit where it's like I rewrote the paragraph, I'm going to say, how does this feel? What would you
Okay,
add?
good.
What would you take away? So that they still feel in control. You still feel in control of the
Yeah.
project. So, and it can make you feel like you're in a rut. And I have one of my favorite tools. It's called Visual Thesaurus. And
Okay.
it creates like a word map of all of, like, you can pop in one word and then it will create a word map of all the other words that are, synonyms, thesaurus type things. You can go down this, I can go down rabbit holes on that. But it helps with figuring out like, okay, what can I put in here that might be more impactful? Important gets overused a lot. So maybe we can
Sure.
use critical or vital or spice it up a little bit. And I'm a horrible speller, so thank God for spell check. But it also made me really good at creating alternatives for the words I couldn't spell when I was younger, before spell check got so robust. That I was like, can't spell that one. What can I spell? And so I love
Got it. Got it. So you just brought up the fact, all of us were kids at one point. So when did you feel like you realized you were super creative? Were you always super talented at drawing or art, or was it really your personality? Or when did you really truly embrace the fact that you had so much beautiful creativity inside of you?
That's a great question. Let's see. I've always just been creative, but I really didn't think of myself as creative until the last maybe 4 or 5 years.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Probably because my family is so full of creatives. So back when I was an accountant, I sometimes felt like the black sheep.
Which, I mean, those are night and day differences. Accounting and creativity are very not the same.
They're very different. And but I would still be fighting against it and find ways to be creative in the way I dressed, or my spreadsheets would have more color involved.
Yes.
People's, or be more designed than others. So I was always creative as a child, but a lot of the people in my family are fantastic artists, visual artists, or fantastic musicians. And I'm just like, hi, I'm okay. I'm all right. Like, I can draw a dragon.
Which most people can't.
But when you grow up in a family where people are these amazing artists, where they can actually you can be like, yeah, that's exactly what that landscape looked like. Yeah. Yep. And all of a sudden you're like, well, maybe art isn't my thing. So it was a long time where I was just like, okay, I'm going to go the logical route. And because I am right down the middle.
Me too. Yeah.
Creative and analytical. Yeah. And actually, I think a lot of people mistake creatives as not being analytical at all.
Correct.
But there is a lot of analysis that goes into color and word choices and into art that people may not think is analysis, but it is a lot of analysis.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I mean, you're the epitome of how I always describe creativity. I mean, so if you think, so your family, you just described them as they were multiple artists and doing different things visually and otherwise. Art is one form of creativity. It's a beautiful form. And if you have that talent, which I know you do, because I've actually seen your visual notes and things like that, I know you have some beautiful visual talent from an artistic standpoint. Yeah. It is one form, though. It is not the only form of creativity. And I have been preaching that for the last, several years, because there's so much more to creativity. There's passion, there's intuition, there's energy, there's connectedness, there's, just feeling inspired and motivated. Those are all coming from the right side of our brains. That creative flow, that passion comes out of that side of the brain. Whereas the left side we still need. And so for you and I to be pretty much right in the middle is probably why we get along so well, actually. We can lean strategic and we can also lean creative. That's beautiful too, because it's a nice balance of what comes in between and what can happen then. I mean, it doesn't necessarily, and I'm only speaking for myself, but it doesn't necessarily take people like us a whole lot of time to get inspired. Where some people, especially if they're writing a book for the first time, I would imagine, it takes them, they have to quiet themselves and they have to figure out their time that they're feeling inspired. Maybe it's in the morning, maybe it's in the afternoon. And that's so beautiful if they can figure that out and know that. Right. But for us, we can kind of flip back and forth pretty easily. Does that seem fair? Pretty fair. It's like if I'm struggling with I can't get writing started, I might go and I might draw for a little while, or I might color. I'm horrible. I have a collection of coloring books like this. I love it. But so I might just go and I might doodle, or I might color, and it just might be like, okay, now I'm ready to get back into my flow. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So before we move on to more of some of the personal things of Colleen Kern, tell us what you have going on in your business right now that you want our audience to know about, or that you're working on for your business, on your business, or with clients.
Sure. So, where to start? We have a new thing going on is where I am speaking, which is exciting and terrifying.
I love it.
So I did a speaker contest, which I didn't place, but I feel really good about how I performed. That was terrifying. 3 minutes. For those who don't know, the speaking contest was a 3-minute like hard stop. Like you had to give a TEDx type talk in 3 minutes, and it was, oh man, going against a timer is scary. I think that was the hardest part, was being like, they're going to cut off my mic at 3 minutes, but I'm supposed to pause. I don't have time for pauses. But it was a great experience, and just I learned so much from it. And obviously I'm speaking at your community on the 5th, which I am so excited to share more about how I made space for creativity in my life. And then I'm speaking on the 6th, just the next day, in Fort Collins at the eWomen chapter in Northern Colorado, which I'll be sharing more about. Something I'm truly passionate about is that I believe when we share our stories, we create the catalyst for change through community, through resonance with the people who are like, oh my gosh, like that is me. You know, so I get I'm getting chills right now. I get chills when I say that. I really believe the more people vulnerably share their stories, you know, it creates connection. And that connection creates that catalyst that changes the world. So I'm excited about that. And then, oh my gosh, I have a book.
What was that face with that book here?
It's still surreal to me that I'm part of 2 books this year.
Awesome.
Voices of Inspiration, which is launching on June 11th, which probably will start taking over my social media shortly. And Choose Confidence, which I believe is scheduled to be launched in late August or early September.
And these are compilation books?
They're compilation books.
Awesome.
And I am very excited to be included in those. There's some amazing authors included. And yeah, so there will be more writing from me coming out this year. And of course, editing. I have a new offer that I will be launching coming up here, is that to help people with the creative parts. So up until now, I've been doing predominantly just the editing piece. And I'm going to be offering now a 2-hour consult for people to kind of flesh out what they think their book should be. So I'm not doing book coaching. Let's get that out of the way. But it's kind of like a brainstorm. The questions like, what do you want your book to be about? The audience, the chapters, the stories, because I'm so passionate about story. The stories you may want, get a transcript, and then you can go back, create your outline, and I will do an outline review. And then if you write your book within the next 6 months, I will apply half of that fee towards the editing services.
Okay, interesting. So we're not done with our interview by a long shot, but where do people find that information?
They can email me about that one, because that one's super brand new. But all info, like how to contact me and where to find me, you can go to my website, which I will pop in our comments later, but it's writeeditecc.com. Write like writing, not like I am right. So writeeditecc.com.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. That's awesome. I'm super excited for you. So one question that spawned from what you were talking about there is, I know that you have an opportunity to help your clients be super creative when they're writing their books and bringing their stories forward and their voice forward. Do you ever find that you get blocked yourself from that creative process when you're writing your own stories or sharing your information down? Yes. And how do you overcome it then?
I think writing about yourself is one of the hardest things you can do. Writing your own, oh my gosh, writing your own content is also, I think, the hardest thing, just because you're so in your head about yourself.
Sure.
And I think one of the best ways to do is just get something onto the paper.
Okay.
Make it no longer white, because I get white screen paralysis, white page paralysis,
Sure.
and it's like, ugh. So just get something down
Yeah.
helps a lot. Like even if you're just like smash the keyboard,
Love it.
that way at least there's something there. Um, and if you, a lot of people don't like to write. I
Sure.
love to write. I am more
Yeah.
articulate through the written form.
Beautiful.
Because I'm able to slow down my brain process, which goes a mile a minute. So I'm able to kind of, oh, I forgot a word, go back and
For you. Okay.
but can't do that live, unfortunately. And I think for a lot of people, the idea of typing it out or writing it out is really intimidating. And we have such fantastic technology now with voice notes, with transcription,
Sure.
that really you can speak it and have the transcript and go back and do edit the transcript. So
Yeah.
going back and doing stream of consciousness really helps. Written or verbal, doing stream of consciousness helps a lot, because then you're like, oh, I love this part, I'm going to use this to write. So you get some good
Oh,
ideas just doing stream of consciousness. I love the Artist Way morning pages,
mm-hmm.
which you just stream of conscious 3 pages. Sometimes I get like the best ideas out of that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm a big avid and a big person on journals and writing things down. The moment you get it out of your head, now it you don't have to do anything with it, but at least it's out of the jumble of all their ideas that are flowing in your head. Or maybe it's just a starting point. I always tell people, if you're one that is getting woken up at 3 in the morning because you've got all of the things running through, put a journal by your bedside. If you're driving and you can voice text yourself, great, do that. Or if you're in the shower, which a lot of people get ideas in the shower, make sure you have something where you can instantly write that down as soon as you get done with that shower, right? And so it's
One of my coaches told me about waterproof notebooks, and it changed my life.
That's awesome.
They're the best because you can keep them in the shower with a pencil and write it down and be like, oh my God, this idea. And then it doesn't get,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Shower. They're
That's
amazing.
a great tip. I love that. I love that. I hadn't actually heard of that, but that's awesome. Yeah, so good, so good. So what, obviously you're going to be chatting. Colleen's going to be speaking for our ACE community next week. No, excuse me, 2 weeks from now. Wednesday, June 5th, we meet from 4 to 6 p.m. if you're local to Colorado in Castle Rock. And we are at Bucket List Tavern in Castle Rock, which I thought was a perfect name for our community. So our community, though, is all around, as I mentioned earlier, adventure, creativity, and enjoyment. So talk to us, what is one of the most adventurous things you've done to date? I'd love to get to know a little bit more of the personal side of Colleen here.
So this was challenging. So I could have chosen skydiving, swimming with sharks, or cliff jumping, but I decided that those were just one and dones. So the most important or impactful thing was I've driven across country by myself multiple times.
Whoa, really?
And what makes that more of an adventure is all the things I've done along the way, because it wasn't just like drive to get there. I take days. So I stop, I go to parks by myself. I go hiking by myself.
Good.
And I really make it into an adventure.
Love it.
The most recent one I did, I got lost and ended up, and I was like, I don't know where. Oh, a bird sanctuary. And I stopped at a bird sanctuary on one of the Great Lakes, and it was like the best thing ever. And then as I found my way back to where I was supposed to be, I found the most random gas station that was built like a castle. I can't find my way back to it to save my life. I think it was, and I was like, happy accident.
I love it. I love it. So I feel like you're truly in a space of your adventure is on the journey, not the destination. Then that is a good quote around that. So I love that. That's fantastic. Oh, I bet that bird sanctuary was so fun for you. I bet that was.
I love birds.
Yeah, I know you do. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet.
That was so much fun.
Yeah. Nice. And so how did you, so this leads to a different question here. A lot of times women love the idea of solo traveling, and whether
Mhm.
it's domestic like you did in the United States or overseas on a plane or whatever. But how did you overcome some of that fear that comes into place of, well, what if, we answer a lot of what if questions when we're doing things like that. And, how did you feel like you could just keep going and know that you were going to be just fine?
Um, so I'm more situationally aware when I'm alone
Yeah.
traveling. Um, I I use a fanny pack.
Love it.
So I use a
Love it.
fanny pack even when I'm just going out of the car from getting gas and going into um
Mhm.
inside.
Yeah.
I use a fanny pack and I make sure I have my phone, my keys, and pepper spray.
Good.
So I carry pepper spray with me when I travel by myself. And then
Yeah.
I also use the location on my phone on Google Maps.
Yeah.
You can share that with someone.
Yep.
So I shared it with both my husband and my mom while I was traveling so
Yeah.
that they always knew where I was.
Yep.
So, and second reason why I always brought my phone with me whenever I got out of the car, uh,
Yeah.
they always knew, I knew someone always knew where I was.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
that
Smart.
was kind of like a nice concept. And I usually had a goal of where I wanted to stop the each day.
Yeah.
So people knew where I was going to be approximately.
Sure.
So it was like, okay. And then I would check in the evenings, like where I was. So people
Yeah.
were aware of where I was, but I didn't feel like I was constantly like, here I am. Like,
Got it. Got it. Yeah, that's great. That's smart. I love it. I love it.
and
What do you feel like? So during your adventure, what do you feel? So you just mentioned the bird sanctuary. That was a happy accident. I don't believe in accidents, by the way. Happy accidents. I believe that that was meant for you to see.
yes.
Um, what I know it's hard to pinpoint just one, but if you could pick just one across your journey across the United States, what was the most inspiring or most impactful on you personally?
That's a great question. Um, I think it's just the most impactful. I'm just going to lump them all into one. Is
Sure.
the national parks, the state and
Love it.
national parks that I've stopped at. There is so much natural beauty in this
Yeah.
country and
Yeah.
in random places.
Yes.
Like the places that you're like, whatever. Like there is an alabaster cavern in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And it's like, who knew this was here? And it is
Yeah.
absolutely gorgeous. Um, Arkansas has beautiful trails. They're very well marked. It was amazing.
Nice.
I was very impressed. It was gorgeous. There is bottomless boats in Pensacola. Uh, and just random things. Like
Yeah.
I always end up on these really weird back roads
I
because
love it.
I'm looking for adventures. And I've seen pheasants run across the road, which is just like the
Fabulous.
coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
It's the random things that you see when
Yeah.
you're about the journey and you're not trying to get somewhere.
Just be about the destination. Yeah,
You
absolutely.
just start to see the beauty that is around us. And you don't have to go far
Yeah.
to find it. Like be a tourist in your backyard. Like it's all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're just like, what? This was too much.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So out of curiosity, have you been to all 50 states or not yet?
I think I've been to 40.
Great.
I think I've
That's
been to
awesome.
40.
Have you been to
Yeah.
North Dakota?
No.
Not many people have.
Yeah, those are the ones I haven't been to. Is the super northern Midwest states, which bums me out. And I haven't been to Hawaii or Alaska.
Okay, no problem. If you go to North Dakota, go in the summer. It's really pretty there. In the winter, you'll get scared because of the cold.
No, I do not like to be cold. No.
So awesome. Well, we're gonna wind this down here. This has been awesome chatting with you today, Colleen. I'm super excited to hear you next week, or excuse me, in 2 weeks on June 5th, for our ACE community. If you're interested in being our guest, you can come to our event for free. And go to swirlsllc.com and go to the events tab. You'll see the June 5th meeting right there. You can register for free. I'm expecting right now about 20 people or close to 20 people. I'll get you those final numbers, Colleen, but it's going to be great. And a lot of people are coming in because they want to learn more about Colleen specifically and more about creativity. And so I'm really, really excited about that. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you to have the spotlight and be in front of these people. And so I want to thank you for coming and talking to Creativity Today. Again, we could go on and on and on about this
all day.
Yes, but our audience is probably thinking we should wrap this up by now. But so anyway, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on. So again, why don't you tell us where they can find your information and what you're working on next?
So yeah, you can find me at writeeditecc.com or connect with me on LinkedIn. And what I have next is really these speaking engagements. And if you have a book, I would love to chat.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing your expertise on creativity today. And I'm super excited to hear you in a couple weeks. So thanks for your time, Colleen.
Thank you. This was fun.
You bet.